Okay, welcome to the deep dive. We are jumping into um, a really fascinating collection of material today.
Yeah, it's all centered around something, well, really practical, especially important if you're, navigating English.
Talking about hobbies and interests.
Exactly. And you should think of this deep dive as like your shortcut. We've sifted through these articles, these conversations
Wow.
to pull out the absolute essentials, the key insights, the phrases you actually need.
So the mission really is to leave you feeling confident, feeling well-equipped to talk about what you love doing in your free time in English.
And why is it such a big deal?
The material we looked at makes it super clear. For English learners, talking
Learn.
about hobbies isn't just, small talk.
No, it's not trivial.
It's a vital way to share a bit of who you are, talk about your leisure time.
And really step into genuine conversations. It's a fantastic chance to practice speaking, often in a pretty low pressure situation, which, naturally helps your confidence.
And it's just one of the simplest, most effective ways to connect with people, make new friends even.
Definitely. When you share something you're passionate about, you find that common ground.
Absolutely. One source actually calls it a fantastic conversation starter.
And it really is. It's something everyone has some experience with, right? Whether you call them hobbies or just things I like doing.
So, okay, let's get right into it then.
Yeah.
If you want to start this kind of chat, how do you even ask someone?
Good question. The material gives some really simple go-to phrases, easy to remember.
Yeah, like several options that are pretty much interchangeable.
Yeah.
You could ask, what do you do in your free time? That feels really common.
Or maybe a bit more direct, what are your hobbies?
You could also
And,
just keep it simple. Like, do you have any hobbies?
and another way to phrase it, what do you enjoy doing? They all kind of do the same thing, don't
And then,
they?
yeah, open the door to talk about free time stuff.
The sources even offer a neat little real life example. Imagine you're meeting someone new, maybe at a language meetup or something. You can just go up and say, hi, I'm your name. What do you do in your free time? It sounds natural and it works.
Okay, so you've asked the question. Now, how do you answer when someone asks you?
Ah, yeah, the other side. The material is great here too because it gives you these easy structures you can use immediately.
The most common one, it seems, and really flexible is I like to.
Right.
And then you follow it with either the verb plus ing or sometimes just the noun for the hobby. So you could say I like to read books or
I like reading.
exactly. Or I like to play soccer.
Or I like playing soccer. Both work fine with like to.
Okay, what else?
Well, very similar. There's I enjoy. You'd say I enjoy.
Yeah.
And usually follow that with the ing form or a noun.
Gotcha.
The examples they give are things like I enjoy cooking new recipes or I enjoy gardening. Pretty straightforward.
You could also just state it directly, right? Using my hobby is.
Yep. Followed by the ing form or the noun, like my hobby is painting, or perhaps my hobby is collecting stamps.
Okay. And one more.
Yeah, if it's something you're exploring or maybe got into recently, I'm interested in is perfect.
Oh, that's a good one.
Again, followed by ing or a noun. For instance, I'm interested in learning new languages. Or maybe I'm interested in photography.
So those four phrases, I like to, I enjoy, my hobby is, I'm interested in, that gives you a really solid toolkit for answering.
Definitely covers the basics.
But how do you make your answer, a bit more interesting, more descriptive?
Good point. The material suggests adding details like when you do the hobby or maybe why you do it.
Ah, okay. That makes sense.
Yeah, this is where the conversation can get a bit richer. So instead of just, I like to hike.
You add the when,
Right. I like to hike on weekends. Simple, but it adds a layer of info.
or you could add the why, which often tells you something more personal.
Exactly. Like I enjoy playing guitar because it helps me relax. That explains the benefit for you?
Or you can just add a little more specific detail about the activity itself.
Totally. Instead of just my hobby is baking cakes, you could say my hobby is baking cakes, especially for my friends' birthdays. Makes it more vivid, more real.
Okay, great. So we've got the basic questions, the answers, adding a bit more detail. But talking about hobbies isn't just these core phrases. It's also about having the words, the vocabulary for the actual activities.
Oh, absolutely. And this is where the sources really show the sheer breadth of this topic.
Yeah.
One source, it was incredible. It listed 615 conversation questions, all specifically about hobbies.
Wow. 615.
Yeah. And they're categorized by hobby type and by proficiency level, like Beginner all the way up to advanced or proficient. It mentioned 12 categories. That just shows how much there is to potentially talk about.
That's amazing. And another source also structured his vocabulary by grouping hobby types together, which seems like a smart way to learn it.
It really is. So let's maybe walk through some of the major categories that popped up across the sources.
Good idea. Just to give a sense of the types of things people talk about and the kind of vocabulary involved.
Okay, so a huge area is sports and outdoor activities.
Right. Always popular.
And the material breaks this down even further. Things like individual sports yoga, tai chi were mentioned, team sports like basketball, soccer.
Martial arts too.
Yep, kung fu, taekwondo. General outdoor activities like hiking, camping, fishing, board sports, snowboarding, surfing, even motorsports like auto racing.
That's a lot.
It is. And the conversation level can really vary. For a beginner, you might just ask, do you like to play sports? Simple.
But for someone more advanced.
Well, one source had questions like, evaluate the ethical considerations of hunting and fishing. So you can see the range there. You can go deep.
Okay, what's another big category?
Arts and crafts. This is where you find words for activities like painting, drawing, knitting.
Photography.
Yeah, jewelry making, ceramics, that kind of thing.
And again, the questions scale up, I assume.
Exactly. A beginner might answer, do you like to draw? An advanced discussion could be something like, discuss the relationship between art and politics.
Interesting. Okay, next.
Then there's music and performing arts. This covers singing, different kinds of dancing. Ballet and salsa were examples.
Playing instruments.
Playing instruments, definitely guitar, piano were mentioned, and acting as well.
And the questions range from simple like, do you like music?
Right, up to maybe analyzing the cultural significance of a specific music genre for, higher levels.
Makes sense. What about reading?
Reading and literature, yeah, another big one. Covers reading books, magazines, comics, talking about visiting libraries.
In the range there?
From do you like to read, all the way to, say, analyzing the evolution of the novel as a literary form. Even common hobbies have that depth.
True. Okay, food lovers.
Ah, yes. Cooking and culinary arts. Vocabulary for cooking, baking, trying new foods, maybe focusing on international cuisine.
And the conversation.
Could be, do you like to cook? Or it could be a detailed discussion like, examine the history and evolution of a specific dish or cuisine.
Wow. Okay, one more big one.
Gaming and entertainment. Very popular these days. Talking about video games, board games, watching movies, TV shows.
And the range.
You might start with, do you like to play games? But could go on to discuss things like the impact of globalization on the entertainment industry.
So many categories. The sources mentioned others too, didn't they?
Yeah, things like travel and exploration, photography came up again, gardening and nature, socializing and community activities.
Yeah.
Even hypothetical questions about favorite hobbies or trying new ones.
The main point seems to be whatever you're into, there's language for it.
That's the crucial takeaway, I think. Becoming comfortable means learning the specific words for your hobbies. You don't need everything, just focus on what you actually do or care about.
Okay, so we've got phrases, we've got vocabulary. How does this all actually look in a real conversation?
The sources had some sample dialogues, right? Those are always super helpful. Yes, seeing it in context really helps. There were some examples showing simple exchanges.
Using the questions we talked about.
Exactly. Questions like, what do you enjoy doing in your spare time? Or, are there any hobbies you do?
And answered with phrases like, I enjoy drawing and painting.
Or, when I have time, I sometimes draw and paint. Using those structures we discussed.
But what I found interesting was how the conversation went a bit deeper. Like talking about how they learned the hobby.
Oh yeah, that was neat. Phrases came up like, I learned back in high school, or I first learned how to do it in high school.
Or I was taught in high school.
Yeah.
And mentioning taking an art class.
Right. And the response, that was my favorite class, or it was my favorite class. It adds that personal touch, that connection.
And I liked how those dialogues included encouraging responses too.
Me too. Things like, I see that you're pretty talented.
Or you've got to be talented.
Right.
Or just, well, it's good that you're so talented. Learning how to give and receive compliments like that is useful.
Definitely. And the replies were simple, gracious. Thank you very much. Thanks. I appreciate that.
My favorite bit from those examples, though, was that little concluding thought.
Ah, yes. Where one person says, I wish I had a talent like that.
And the reply is just so warm and universal. Everyone has a talent. It's just hidden.
Or you just don't know what it is yet.
Or they just need to find it. That's such a lovely sentiment to remember.
It really is. Another sample conversation we looked at used phrases like, I've really been into, which is great for talking about a recent interest.
Oh, yeah. I've really been into photography lately. That sounds natural.
And I actually started for trying something new. I actually started knitting.
And the listeners' responses were simple, but good for showing you're engaged. That's cool.
Or that sounds very rewarding.
Mhm.
These dialogues showed hobbies like photography, knitting, volunteering, gaming, collecting, just coming up naturally in chat.
Okay, now, there's a cultural point in the material that seems really important, especially for you, the listener, as an English learner trying to connect.
Yes, this is key. In many English-speaking countries, hobbies are a really significant part of social life.
And this isn't just like a random observation.
Yeah.
It has practical implications.
It means it's really common for people to join clubs or groups related to their hobbies. Hobby-related social groups, the source called them.
Like book clubs.
Hiking groups, craft circles, local sports teams. Those were the kinds of examples given.
And why is this relevant for you, the listener?
Because these groups are described as a natural environment to practice English in a relaxed setting. It's fantastic.
You're meeting people who already share an interest with you. The conversation starter is built in.
Exactly. And it helps you practice the specific vocabulary for that hobby. You hear different accents, different speaking styles.
Outside of a formal class setting.
Yeah. And you build connections based on that shared passion, not just because you're both, say, language learners. It's a powerful way to integrate practice into real life.
Okay, so we've covered a lot. Phrases, vocabulary, cultural insights. What can you actually do right now to practice this? The sources had some good, actionable ideas.
They did. The first one is pretty simple. Grab a friend, a classmate, maybe someone also learning English, or a native speaker if you can, and just talk about your hobbies. Use the questions, use the answer phrases we went over.
Just try it out. You could also try writing. The material suggested writing a short paragraph, maybe 5 to 7 sentences.
Yeah, about your favorite hobby. Explain why you enjoy it, what you get out of it. Good practice for organizing thoughts.
And building on that cultural point about groups.
Right. Try finding a local hobby group or maybe an online community for one of your interests.
Even just browsing their website or their social media pages in English is good reading practice, isn't it?
Definitely. And the sources actually suggested specific resources. Meetup.com was mentioned.
Oh yeah, Meetup's great for finding local groups by interest.
And Pinterest.com was suggested too. Not just for finding new hobby ideas, but also for finding English articles, tutorials, instructions related to hobbies.
Lots of visual context there too.
But the key message, really, across all the material was just consistent practice.
Yeah. The more you use these phrases, the more you talk about your interests, the more natural it's going to feel.
Absolutely.
So, wrapping things up, what's the big picture here? Being able to talk about your hobbies in English. It's way more than just learning vocabulary, isn't it?
Oh, much more. It's really a fundamental skill for connecting with people, for showing your personality.
And for practicing English in a way that feels authentic and meaningful.
We've gone from those basic questions and answers to adding more detail, exploring that huge world of hobby vocabulary.
Across all sorts of activities like
Good.
sports, arts, gaming.
And seeing how it all fits together in conversation examples.
And we hit on that really crucial cultural point about hobbies being social and how joining groups is such a great opportunity for practice.
Ultimately, talking about your hobbies, engaging with them, it helps you become a more expressive and well-rounded communicator in English.
Definitely. And thinking about that wonderful line from the dialogue, that everyone has a talent, it just needs to be found.
Yeah.
And connecting that with how hobbies are a way we express ourselves and find common ground, it kind of leaves you with a thought, doesn't it? How might actively exploring your own passions, your own interests, and then making that effort to talk about them in English? How might that not only boost your language skills, but maybe reveal something new about yourself or open unexpected doors to connections with people you might never have met otherwise?